Hello viewers, welcome back to my channel Legal Decipher. In the previous video, we discussed about Chapter 8 of the Code of Criminal Procedure 1973. If you have not seen that video, you can go and check it. The link is in the description below. Today, we will discuss about the contents of Chapter 9 of the Code of Criminal Procedure. We'll go through the chapter and try to understand how the criminal procedure is followed and how the criminal courts work. If you are new here, please like and subscribe to the channel to get video notifications. So let's get started. So today we are going to learn about chapter 9, which talks about order for maintenance of wives, children and parents. Now this chapter is very important regarding its application, as it is one of those chapters of this code that has wide practical applications. So let's quickly move on to section 125. It says if a person has sufficient means to maintain his wife, children and parents and he refuses or neglects to do so, then he can be made to do so by the magistrate by an order of maintenance. So a petition will be filed before the magistrate under section 125 and an allowance will be claimed. Now, who can claim such maintenance? So let's go into the details. It says his wife who is unable to maintain herself, his minor child, doesn't matter if born in or out of a wedlock, as both an illegitimate and a legitimate child is included. So as long as the person is the biological father of that minor child, he will have to maintain the child, and whether married or not. So marital status does not affect until the minor attains majority. Or a child who has attained majority but is unable to maintain itself because of any infirmity, physical or mental abnormality or injury. And also the aged parents may also claim maintenance under this section. And in all these cases, the magistrate will pass a monthly order of maintenance of a certain amount as it thinks fit, considering the ongoing market value for cost of living, avoiding harshness upon the person who is paying such maintenance. Now, provided that the magistrate may order the father of a minor female child to make such allowance until she attains her majority. If the magistrate is satisfied that the husband of such minor female child, if married, is not possessed for sufficient means. Now we all know that a suit of maintenance will run for a period of time, just like any other case pending before a court. So what will happen during the pendency of the suit? How will such person claiming maintenance maintain itself or survive? So for that, here is a proviso which says the court will allow a monthly interim maintenance applicable only during the pendency of the suit. So as long as the suit runs, an interim maintenance will be allowed to the claimant so that he or she can survive throughout the time period during which the suit is pending. Now it is also provided further that an application for the monthly allowance for the interim maintenance will be disposed of within 60 days from the date of service of notice on the application of such person. So the interim petition will also be filed along with the main petition, and the interim hearing will be heard within 60 days from the date on which the opposite party or the person against whom the claim is made comes to know about the case by either appearing before the court or getting the summon from the case sent from the court. So it will be heard within 60 days from the date of knowledge to the opposite party. So the time period is 60 days for an interim hearing to be heard. Now the explanation says that a minor means a person who under the provisions of the Indian Majority Act is deemed not to have attained his majority. So who is a major and who is a minor? So a minor is a person who has not attained majority, and who is a major? According to Section 3 of the Indian Majority Act 1875, there is a definition known as major. It says whoever has attained the age of 18 years is a major. So we can learn it from Section 3 from the Indian Majority Act. And who is a wife? Now the explanation says that a wife includes a woman who has been divorced by or has obtained a divorce from her husband and has not remarried. So a wife also includes the wife who has obtained a divorce and has not remarried. So if the wife has not remarried and is divorced from her husband, then she will still be considered as the wife of the husband. So subsection 2 says any such allowance for the maintenance or interim maintenance and expenses of proceedings shall be payable from the date of order or from the date of application of maintenance or interim maintenance. So it is the discretionary power of the court that whether the court can allow such maintenance or interim maintenance from the date of order or from the date of filing of the application. Now, a recent judgment from the Supreme Court has put a mandatory direction that all such allowances shall be allowed from the date of application. Now the question comes in mind that what will happen if the person who is so ordered to pay maintenance fails to pay so, then what will happen? So if the person who is ordered to pay maintenance fails to pay the amount ordered, then such person will be imprisoned for a term which may extend to 1 month or until payment is sooner made. So if a person is ordered to pay maintenance and he fails without any sufficient cause to comply with that order, then the magistrate may, for every such breach of order, issue a warrant. So first, a warrant will be issued against him. Now, if he fails to pay, then the warrant will be executed. And still, if he does not pay it, then he will be imprisoned for a term which may extend to 1 month, or if he pays sooner than that, then he will be released. Now the proviso to subsection 3 says that no warrant shall be issued for the recovery of any amount due under this section unless an application is made to the court to levy such amount within a period of 1 year from the date of which it became due. Now this order will continue to become due per month, and if that person still does not pay the due amount, then the petitioner will claim such amount under this subsection through a separate petition for execution of the order passed by the magistrate. But the limitations are that the claimant will have to claim that amount within 12 months or 1 year. Now, if you want to know what happens if the claimant does not recover such amount within 1 year, so it is a different topic involving a entirely different procedure. The claimant will have to file a money suit in their local jurisdiction before a civil court for the period exceeding 1 year and such and such. But that is not the subject matter here. Here it is said that it has to be claimed under this act within a year from the date it falls due. Now in reality, another thing happens. What happens is that the person against whom such claim is made, he pleads before the court that he will be unable to maintain his wife if her wife stays far from him, which means he cannot provide her wife or the parents or the children against whom such claim is made. So he cannot maintain them if they are not staying with him, if he has to pay a separate money for them, then he cannot do so. But if that person lives with him, then he will be able to maintain that person. So considering that real situation, there is a proviso here. It says that if a person offers to maintain his wife on condition of her living with him and she refuses to live with him, such magistrate may consider any grounds of refusal stated by her. So the magistrate will always consider the grounds as to why the wife is not wanting to live with her husband and may make an order under this section notwithstanding such offer. So the magistrate will also jot down the offer that was made on the behalf of the person, and the magistrate will also consider the grounds for refusal stated by the wife. And by mentioning both of these things, both of these aspects, he will pass an order if he is satisfied that there are just grounds for doing so. Now the explanation talks about such a just ground. It says if the husband has contracted marriage with another woman or keeps a mistress. So if the husband has any other woman in his life, then it shall be considered to be just ground for his wife's refusal to live with him. Now subsection 4 says that no wife shall be entitled to receive any allowance of maintenance or interim maintenance and the expenses of proceedings from her husband under this section if she is living in adultery. That means she has an illicit affair with any other person and without any sufficient reason she refuses to live with her husband, or if they are living separately by mutual consent. So the husband and wife are living separately on mutual consent. So in all these three cases, the wife will not be entitled to receive any kind of maintenance. Now what does subsection 5 says? It says that on proof that the wife in whose favor the order is made is living a life of adultery or is refusing to live with her husband without sufficient reason or is living separately by mutual consent, then such maintenance that was allowed in favor of that wife will be cancelled. So it will be rejected on these three grounds if it is proved that either of these three grounds apply against such wife. Now section 126 entirely talks about the procedures that is to be followed in a proceeding under section 125. So if there is a proceeding instituted under section 125, then such proceedings may be taken against any person in any district where he is, which means where he is presently or where he or his wife resides. So the residence, if it falls within the jurisdiction of the court, or where he last resided with his wife, or as the case may be with the mother of the illegitimate child. So the court will also have the jurisdiction where in whose locality such person last resided with his wife or the mother of the illegitimate child. Subsection 2 says all evidences in such proceedings shall be taken in the presence of that person against whom the order of maintenance is proposed to be made. So that person is known as the opposite party. The claimant is the petitioner and this person against whom the order is proposed to be made is the opposite party. So the evidence of the proceedings will be taken in the presence of the opposite party, and when his personal attendance is dispensed with, it will be taken in the presence of his pleader. So either that person may personally be present or he may proceed the case through his pleader, and the evidence shall be recorded in the manner prescribed for summons cases. Okay. Now provided that if the magistrate is satisfied that the person against whom such order of maintenance is to be made is willfully avoiding service or willfully neglecting to attend the court. So either he willfully neglects to receive the summon sent from the court or he willfully neglects to attend the court, then the magistrate will not waste any time. The magistrate will proceed to hear and determine the case ex parte. Okay, so it will only hear the case of the claimant, the petitioner, and any order so made may be set aside for good cause shown on an application made within 3 months from the date thereof. So if the magistrate has proceeded the case ex parte, after the order has been made ex parte, the opposite party turns up before the court and he shows good cause that for this and this reason he could not attend the court within time. So, on good cause shown on behalf of the opposite party, the application may be set aside, but that event will have to happen within 3 months from the date of passing such ex parte order. So the limitation period is 3 months. Now subsection 3 says the court in dealing with application under section 125 shall have the power to make such order as to cost as may be just. So the claimant or the petitioner can also claim for costs of the suit. Now, section 127 talks about alteration in allowance. This section also has a practical application in real life, that an application may be made before the magistrate. It will have to be made before the same magistrate that has passed the order or allowance. Now, on making such petition before the same magistrate under section 127, the monthly allowance that was allowed earlier can be altered. So, on proof of a change in the circumstances of any person receiving such monthly allowance for maintenance or interim maintenance may claim a change or alteration in such allowance. Basically, the claim of alteration is made to raise the allowance than the amount that was allowed earlier, considering any price hike or the present market value. And the magistrate, if he thinks fit, will allow the maintenance or the interim maintenance, as the case may be, to alter such allowance and raise the amount claimed. Now, subsection 2 says that where it appears to a magistrate that in consequence of any decision of a competent civil court, any order made under section 125 should be cancelled or varied, he shall cancel the order, or as the case may be, vary the same accordingly. So, if the allowance of maintenance is somehow affected by any decision or the consequence of any decision of a competent civil court, then the order that was made under section 125 can be cancelled or varied by that same magistrate who passed such order. And subsection 3 says where any order has been made under section 125 in favor of a woman who has been divorced by or has obtained a divorce from her husband, and if the magistrate shall, if he is satisfied that the same woman has remarried, so after passing the allowance the woman has remarried, or due to any customary law that prevails over that husband and wife, that on divorce such woman is entitled to get such amount of sum of money from her husband according to such customary or personal law that is applicable upon these parties, then in both these cases, whether the woman remarries or has received any amount of sum that she is entitled to get under a customary or personal law, the magistrate will cancel such order of maintenance where such sum was paid before such order or from the date on which such order was made, or in any other case from the date of expiry of the period for which maintenance has been actually paid by the husband to the woman. Now, the order of maintenance can also get rejected if the woman who has obtained a divorce from her husband has voluntarily surrendered her rights to maintenance or interim maintenance after her divorce. So, if such woman voluntarily surrenders her rights to get maintenance, then also the order of maintenance will stand rejected by the same magistrate who has passed that order. So let's quickly sum up. When will the maintenance amount increase? If there is a change of circumstances under which the allowance was made, or if there was a price hike or higher market value at present. And when will it get cancelled? if any order by a competent civil court affects the order of this allowance, or the wife remarries, or the wife gets a prior allowance due to divorce under any customary or personal law, and the sum was paid before such allowance was passed, or the wife surrenders her right of maintenance. Now, subsection 4 says that at the time of making any decree for the recovery of any maintenance or dowry by any person, the civil court will also take into account the sum which has been paid to or recovered as monthly allowance for the maintenance and interim maintenance of any of them. So, if by any chance the claimant or the petitioner moves before the civil court for the recovery of any maintenance or dowry, then the civil court will also take into account that a sum was paid to such claimant or petitioner as monthly allowance or maintenance and interim maintenance, as the case may be. So the civil court will also take into account all these matters. Now let's move on to the last section of this chapter. Section 128 says enforcement of order of maintenance. So it basically says that a copy of the order of maintenance or interim maintenance shall be given without payment to the person in whose favor it is made or to his guardian. So it basically says that a free of cost copy of the order passed by the magistrate for any maintenance or interim maintenance shall be given to the petitioner, and such order may be enforced by any magistrate in any place. Okay, so if the person moves to another place, then the person can also place such order before the local magistrate and claim such maintenance, and any order passed by any magistrate regarding any maintenance or interim maintenance may be enforced by any other magistrate where the petitioner is presently residing. The only two things that such magistrate who is enforcing the order will have to be satisfied about is that the identity of the parties. If the parties are the same and identical to those that are mentioned in the order, and whether the due amount is actually due or not. So whether there is a non-payment of the allowance or not. These two things will have to be satisfied by such enforcing magistrate. So that's all in this video. If you like my videos, then don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching this video.